What's that, Skip? Shauno's talking about Supercoach again. Let's go. G'day everybody, it's Shauno again, and I'm back with some more Supercoach content. Today we're going to be doing our round 17 trades and captains video, and in this video we'll go through all the best options for trades in and outs for you out there in the community, and the best vice captain and captain choices. But before we get on with that, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for all your support. You guys and girls out there have been absolutely fantastic this year, but if you're not already subscribed, please go ahead and do that now. And if you like the video, please like the video and leave me a comment down below letting me know what your trade plans are this week and who are going to be your vice captain and captain choices. Anyway, as you can see from the thumbnail here, it says no more buys, and we're really happy about that. Oh, before we get on with it too, one more thing, don't forget to join that Discord. Pop your team in where it says post my team here, and tomorrow on Thursday when we do our live video, you'll be able to, I'll chuck it up on the screen and we can have a bit of a chat about it. And even if you don't want to do that, if you'd like to pop your team or even just have a chat about anything Supercoach, that's where we do it, in the Discord. A lot of knowledgeable people in there, even a top 10 player drops in there occasionally, has a bit of a chat. So yeah, if you've got any questions or advice that you want, not just from me, but from other people out there in the community, join that Discord. Yep, like I said, great bunch of guys and girls in there. Anyway, let's get on with it. And we usually talk about what my trades are. My trades are, we're not doing any trades. So I've only got 2 left. Terrible position for this time of year. So, but we have a semi-completed team. So if you want to go back and see my team review, go back. I'll put a link down below. Check that one out. Like that one for me as well. So my team at the moment is Holmes, Ash, Whitfield, Wilkie, Dacos, and Clark. That's my completed backline with Will Edwards and Dirksen for cover. I think Edwards is going to stay in the team, so he's going to provide me pretty good cover. I think Dirksen could be a bit in and out, so we'll see what happens there. Midfield is Butters, Dacos, Bont, Callahan, Will Day, Rao, Walsh. Then with my M8 being like the equivalent on my flex position, we can have either HK, Fitzgerald, Ison, or Sharp all vying for this position. Kind of hope now that maybe Ison gets dropped for my particular team, so then I can do a loophole each week with one of these other guys. In the ruck line, we've got Gawn and Jackson with Kalani White on the bench. In the forward line, we've got Sheasel, Horn Francis, Pickett, Petrarca, Durham, and Riley Thrillthorpe, as we like to call him, with no bench cover at the moment of Banfield and Mitch Pod. And we've got Grundy in our flex. So that's my completed team. Am I happy? No. We're going to talk about who you should be trading in, but I think I'm missing some of these big midfield guys who are going to be really good for the run home this season. Anyway, let's get on with it as we usually do. Let's go here. We're going to talk about the rookies first, and the cupboard is still a little bit bare, but the ones we do have look really good. So the midfield is pretty much the place that we've got these good rookies, and you've got 2. You've got Marcus Herbert and Joel Fitzgerald. Now, it's hard for me to split these guys. They both look really good. So hopefully you could even go both of them, really. Like, I mean, I know it's not the ideal week coming out of buys to do a double downgrade, and if you're like me, you might have picked one of these guys up earlier, like Joel Fitzgerald. I picked him up a few weeks ago. As long as they're named, I think they're both very safe picks. Both have reasonable job security, I think. Can't go ahead and say for sure they're going to stay in the teams. They are rookies for a reason, but they are the slightly maturer mid-season rookies. So they've got more chance of staying in the rookie in the team than some like a 18-year-old kid. So I think they're both very good choices. And if you didn't have either and you wanted to go both, I'd be quite happy for you to do that, as long as they're named, of course. Keep an eye out on the team sheets. If I had to split them, it'd be very hard. Job security, maybe Herbert's better. He's keeping Lindsay out of the team, and they do need an extra big-bodied mid-back there with Harry Edwards probably not playing for the rest of the season with concussion issues. So I think he's a good chance to hold his position in the team. Joel Fitzgerald, Melbourne are quite competitive, and if he was to have a few bad weeks, he could potentially lose his position. So maybe not as great job security, but he has a very high ceiling, I believe. The first week, I think he played and he got around a 70. If it wasn't for his not so great disposal efficiency, that score could have been much closer to a 90 or 100. So I think potentially on a really good day with decent time on ground, Fitzgerald could actually get you 100 on the field. I think we should expect more like 60, 70, 80s, but he's just got that potential to do it. And Herbert, I believe he's knocked out a couple of 70s in a row, and I think with the role he plays, is 75 and 80. So that's amazing scores from a rookie. So like I said, I think they're both really, really good options. Now, other options, well, there's not many out there really. I don't think this guy is an option. 13 and 14, didn't play last couple of weeks. Then you've got the Collingwood guy, Sam Swadling. Hope I said your name right, mate. I don't know if he's the guy holding Mitch Pod out of the team. He is also a mid only. You got 82, but then only a 38 last week. So I like both of those 99k mid dudes better. The only other guy some people are talking about is Bo Adensall, another name that I hope I got right. He looks okay with the 57 and 62, but he's at that 127k price, and how his job security is, I'm not too sure about that. I'm thinking these two guys, Herbert and Fitzgerald, they're the guys you want if you're going to get a rookie this week. Now you say, hey, Sean, I don't need a bid rookie. I need a defender rookie. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but there's not much out there. There is literally no one. Hopefully you jumped on Kyle Anand last week at 145. I think you've probably missed the boat, but if you just desperately needed cover, I mean, don't get him for his money-making ability, but if you needed cover, you had nobody else playing, then maybe it'd be okay to get on him. But I think this 40 to 70 range is where you're going to be looking at. So probably would have been good to get him at 99k last week. And for those of us who are hoping that Jackson Artemis might play, he hasn't been doing so great in the VFL. So maybe a call up to Essendon is not on the cards like we all hoped. And the fact that there is talk that Archie Roberts might be back sooner than later, that I might be a little while before we see him. So I was kind of hoping that he might come in at some point, but it might be further away than we thought. Then lastly, in the forwards, well, there's not much to go on in the forwards either. Under 3 matches will do. The Mitch Pod, we were thinking that he was safe as houses, but didn't have such a great couple of first games for Collingwood in the AFL, and got dropped. So not great. Went back to the twos and kicked 4 goals, I believe it was. So maybe could get another call up, but didn't quite look at the best at AFL pace. So it might be a little while until we see him too, especially considering last week he went out and Pendlebury came in. So it wasn't even a like for like. It's not like a forward. He went out as a forward and they brought in another forward. They obviously think they have enough forward scoring power without him. So that's not great. He was going to be my cover on the bench. If we go back to my team, as you can see, I've only got him or Banfield. So that's a little bit of a worry, but I mean, hopefully he does come back at some point. So as we talked about, there's no one in the rucks. There's no rookies in the ruck. I mean, Taylor Goad, I guess, is a potential playing there with. He didn't play last week, so maybe not. You would think they were going to play him if they were going to play him. If he's going to play, he would have played last week. So maybe not. Laddams, who says he's going to stay in the team. So I don't think you really have any other choices in the ruck. So like I said, the rookie cupboard is a little bit bare. Just those 2 mid guys. If you're going to get a rookie this week, I'd say you're going to want to pick up one of those mid guys because they're going to be pretty good scorers, especially if you're going to be using them as your mid 8 like I am. or even maybe in the flex position if you're not using the flex for something else. Could be really good pickups, either of those guys. All right, so let's go and look at what if you're looking at buys are over, you want to finish off your team, you know, who you want the best of the best. So we're only going to really talk about the best of the best now. Maybe I'll give you a few value options, but if you're a bit tight on the money, but you really want to be getting the best guys in your team for the run home. You're probably low on trades. You might be low on money. So, the low on money is not going to help. But if you can get down to one of those rookie guys and get up to someone in defense, I think Max Holmes, probably your top target. Uh, Probably one of the best, going to be one of the best midfielders, not just defenders, but should almost be guaranteed the top defender of the year. Now, this number 2 man is probably the next, if not even with him, of Wanganeen Malera. I think these two are both, if you don't have them, get them in your team. Both of them can go, 115 plus for the rest of the year. Both are capable of big spike scores. And yep, we're not too sure. We haven't seen anyone do a good job on tagging Nas for a while. So maybe, jump on there. So they're my two that I would really want my team. I've got Holmes, but I don't have Nas, and I'm a little bit worried about that fading that. Coming into my upcoming league matches against teams that have him, it could be a really nasty watch. Sinclair and Roberts are injured. If Roberts comes back, maybe he'll be an option, but he was down a little bit. Lockie Ash, the old coach down there in GWS, is throwing the magnets around again. He played a little bit more midfield this week. The week before, Lockie Whitfield played a little bit more midfield, but I still think they're both very good options, both the GWS boys, Ash and Whitfield. Last week, if you decided to swap out Sinclair and get in Luke Parker, he repaid you with a 122. So we saw how good his beginning of the season is. I think it's a fair pick. I think he is right around that D6 to 10 in that bracket, as some of these other guys are. Well, Noble, what a fall from grace that he had. He's now down to 540. So if you were thinking of Noble, I'd probably wait a week or so, because you could probably get him around the 500k mark. Someone also around 500k might be a little bit more, maybe the Ash of the world or Lockie Whitfield of the world at 500k might be a little bit more consistent than Noble. But we've seen how big Noble can go. Maybe just wait on him for a week. Really like Bodie Euland. He would make a great pod on your team. He's only 3.9%. And if you look, he's had some really good scores. He's gone 114, 118, 116, 91, 75, but then 127, 137, 108. I think he's very consistent. And I think, he's had a couple of 70s earlier on in the season, but the lowest score and 175 here. So he is capable of dropping you one of those lower scores, but I think he is quite a good pick. Wayne Malera was out last week, and Josh Worrell came back with a 115. I'm still a little bit I'm a little bit worried about these Adelaide defenders, as I've been saying all season, and they've been proving me wrong most of the season. But there are a lot of mouth to feeds back there, like where they got Keane back there now. They've even got HK Hawker Hahn running around back there now. There's a lot of, I think 1 week one will go big, and 1 week or the other will go big. I think with Malera being out of the team at the moment, it probably helped Worrell. With Malera comes back, I think Worrell drops back down to those inconsistent scores that he was getting before. Callum Wilkie, I think, is a very good value pick. So if we're talking value picks, Callum Wilkie, I think, is probably your best value, maybe with the man 2 spots down below him, James Sicily. Also good value. I've been trying to ignore him every week, but he just comes up and puts up decent scores. The only thing I'm worried about James Sicily, he does some very stupid stuff. He is prone to getting suspended. He's a bit of a hothead, giving away 50-metre penalties, as he's done the last couple of weeks in a row when he's played. If you can live with the stupidity and the fact that he might get rubbed out for a week or two later on down the season, then go there. Bailey Dale, I think, is also a reasonable pick. I mean, he's been lighting until he got this 67 2 weeks ago. He's actually only gone below 100 one time. So right back to like round 6. So I actually think that's a sneaky pick that not many people are talking about, and he's only owned at 9.8%. So I believe also they have quite a lot of games at Marvel, and he loves it down there at Marvel. So I think he is a very good pick. I don't think I'll be picking Caleb Daniel. Can be too inconsistent, a little bit, like the Parker. Nick Blakey, he was one of the ones that we really liked last week for a Sinclair replacement, and he dropped to 64. Really disappointed his owners. But I think he can still go there. He's at now he's at 485, another one of these bargain guys. He has shown that he can drop. He dropped to 68 and a 64 in the last 5 rounds, and he certainly hasn't been doing what he did in the first 8 rounds of the season. But if you back him to get back to form, then maybe he is a good pick. And I don't think I'll go through too many. Maybe the only other one, Callum Mills, maybe a sneaky pick at 1.2%, owned at 495. But like I said, if I think there are better options at that cheaper level, at around that 500k mark. So there you go. That is what I think about the defenders. Let's go into the midfielders. Now, before we go through, maybe I'll give my top 6. If I had the options of any top 6 defenders, it would be Holmes, Malera, probably Ash and Whitfield, and then I would really I think I would have a Bailey Dale, and then that last position would be up for grabs. I've already got Wilkie in my team, so maybe I say Wilkie. But maybe the other option is a Bodie Hewland or a John Noble, or maybe a John Noble because we've seen he can go absolutely huge. All right, let's go through as for the mids. So obviously, I think everyone has Zach Butters. If you don't have Isaac Heaney, like we talked about, this is probably time of the year you just want to be getting in the big dogs. You're not going to be able to upgrade or anything. If you can afford them, get the big dogs. If you don't have Isaac Heaney, great pick, snap him up. Bailey Smith is the same. Had a great run earlier on the season. Is a little bit prone to being rested potentially in the second half of the season. But, being a non-owner like myself of both these guys, of Heaney and Smith, could be a very painful watch for the rest of the season. So he has also during the Supercoach finals, which is where he could potentially be rested, though he's got a very good set of matchups. So I think definitely a good pick. We'll go down. Bont, if you don't have the Bont, just get the Bont. If you don't have Dacos, just get Dacos. He's been killing it the last couple of weeks. Jordan Dawson, I also think, is a very good pick. And Zach Merritt. I think Zach Merritt, if you need to go a bit on the cheaper side, you can't afford a 600k guy. You've only got 500, say, and 20k. I think Zach Merritt is still a fair pick. Whether he plays off the back line or in the midfield, he seems to get a pretty solid, just seems to get 100 every week, and he is capable of going big if they do unleash him in that midfield. He does seem to have more of that back role at the moment with Archie Roberts out of the team. Will that persist when Archie Roberts is back? Not too sure, but I think at 5.15, he's still a reasonable pick with a proven history of great scoring. Noah Anderson, I think, is also a really, really good pick. Even on a bad day, he seems to be able to get 100. If not, he has a very high ceiling, and he also has quite a high floor as well. So I think at 580, he is at the top of the range, but I think he is in the best 8 midfielders for the rest of the season. LDU came back with a 146 to show us what he can do. He's at 500k now. Is this a showing, what it's going to be like? He's had a few bad weeks, a few really terrible weeks where his floor has been quite low, with a 58 and a 79 over the last, 5 or 6 rounds. But we've seen what he's done for the rest of the season. I think he's pretty safe for around 100 average at least for the rest of the season. So at 500k again, if you can't quite afford the 600k guys, I think he is a great pick. Clayton Oliver had been having a great season, was played in a little bit of a strange role this week where he played a little bit forward. So maybe hold off on him. I think there's probably better picks at that 520k. He's been very consistent, but he hasn't had the huge ceiling. So 118 still seems okay, but he did play a lot of that last quarter forward. So I'm not too sure what's going on with there at GWS. They're throwing the magnets around a little bit. I don't love it. Lockie Neal, another one at 520. Is he going to be a top 8 mid? Maybe not, but if you can't afford those big 600 guys, I think he is a reasonable pick. Another one, the same, Ed Richards. Hasn't had the best last few games, but I believe he has been a little bit sore and injured. I think he is definitely capable of getting back to these scores, as you can see in here, like decent hundreds and the potential 130, 140s. So I think he's actually very good value at 119. So there's some good pod picks here. The other one we missed is Will Day, one that I got into my team and that I'm very happy with. I think he's got 300s in a row now. The big problem with Will Day is his body, but if he could stay uninjured for the rest of the season, I think he's at easily 100 average. And if he can get his time on ground up, he could potentially be getting you 110, 115 average for the rest of the season. So I think he is a good pick. A little bit risky with his body, but Supercoach is all about risk and a bit of luck. So I think he is a very good pick. We go down here a little bit more. We got a few picks I'll throw out there. Maybe Taranto. I don't think I'd go Finn Callahan. As someone who went on him myself a few weeks ago, he just seems to have capped that big scoring. I know he got a 140 a few weeks back, but I don't know. He seems just to be struggling to get to 100. So I think I'd save yourself the punishment of watching him. Another one I kind of like is George Hewitt. I wouldn't be going Sam Walsh, but George Hewitt seems to be quite good. He, over the last 3 rounds, he's averaging 120 and 115 over the last 5 rounds. So, another one in that, reasonable price. Goulden is going to be good, but they're going to warm him up a little bit. So wait till he gets warmed up. If you wanted to get him now, thinking the back half of the season is going to be really good, that would be fine. Only owned at 4% of teams, so that's a great pod. And Hewitt's only owned in 0.7% of teams, so that's a great pod. Sometimes your M8 position is a great place to have a good pod, point of difference if you don't know what I'm talking about, and that helps you climb the ranks. Brayshaw's been on a bit of a blinder the last few weeks, but we saw what he did at the beginning of the season, and Sarong is still not back to full time on ground. So I think once that happens, Brayshaw's scores could be a little bit more inconsistent, so I would stay away from that. Then there's nobody else. Oh, here's the other man. Will Ashcroft has been on fire. Now, if you picked up Will Ashcroft at 450k a few weeks ago, you'd be laughing with scores. I think he's gone 150 and 138 the last 2 weeks. Yeah, last 4 weeks, 109, 86, 151, and 138. So again, if you want a bit of a pod, he's owned at 7.1%, and he's in that, I think under that 500k mark. Now, if you wanted to ask me who are my top 8 midfielders that I would want in my midfield, I think you're going to look straight at the top here, and Shauno's midfield, if I had the option, would be Butters, Heaney, Smith, Bont, Dacos, Dawson, Noel Anderson, so that's 7, and then one of those other guys, one of either, we're talking the Merritts, the Will Days, the Ed Richards. I do really like Ed Richards as a smoky pick. Maybe the George Hewitts, maybe the Errol Goulden, maybe the the other guy we spoke about, Will Ashcroft. They would be one of my mates. If that would be my ideal midfield. So if I had the money and the trades, that's who I'd be targeting. All right, let's have a look with rucks. I think the rucks speak for themselves, and I think we'll just go for the last 3 rounds or the last 5 rounds. It's Max Gawn and Luke Jackson. They're your 2 big guys. If you don't have a ruck, or you still got like a McAndrew and you're looking to upgrade a ruck, get those 2. One of those 2, 100%. Now, Brodie Grundy does have a decent run come up, but him and Sherry are both a little bit of a worry at the moment. Like Sherry with this crazy role that he's got where he doesn't attend many CBAs, and if it's not a congested game that his score can be a little bit down. You know, one week he can score 150 and the next week he can score 60. So I don't think I'm going Sherry. And plus he's got this injury. So, you know, if for some reason Sherry came back and he dropped below, you know, he's got a break even of 74. But I was going to say if he came back and he dropped below 500K, I could see people picking him up. But in the meantime, I'm thinking that really just those, the two guys is you want Jackson and Grundy. There we go. And then Jackson and Max Gawn as your top two. Then Grundy, I think, I don't know, a little bit worried. I've got to break even 150. I'd probably wait on him another week and see if I could pick him up a little bit cheaper if you wanted to do the big 3 rucks like I have in my team. He has got a reasonable run coming up. Can he recapture that form? Will Ladhams stay in the team? Not too sure about that. So I think he's a little bit risky than the other guys. I think pretty sure Luke Jackson proved last week, even with Darcy in the team, he's still easy 100. Does he have that same massive ceiling that he has without either a Cox or a Darcy in the team? Maybe not, but he still is easy 100 plus every week. And Max Gawn, I mean, he's amazing at his age. Will he get a rest? Will Heath come back in for a round or two later on? Sure, but I still think he is going to be right up there and capable of producing some of those huge scores. All right, so for the forward line. Now, the forward line is very, very tricky. So I think getting in, we almost all have Sheasel, so that's fine. Petrarca has been a little bit worrying. I still put him in my top 6, but don't love it at the moment. So, you know, at 460 though, I think there's going to be a lot of people around this price. So I think that is fair enough. Why don't we go on the last 3 round average? So I'll talk about Chad Warner in a little bit. Jason Horne-Francis has got the role. Like, a lot of the time we want to talk about who's got the role. So obviously Harry Sheasel has a full mid-time role. He scores very well. Horne-Francis also has a full-time midfield role and has scored great the last, 3 or 4 weeks. So hopefully he can keep that up. We know he was a bit consistent earlier on the season, but hopefully he keeps that up. Now, we've also got, who else have we got? Oh, Kasai Pickett coming down. It's 470 now. He's had a few bad weeks, but I think he is still a good pick and he's still in those top realm of forwards. Jordan Ngoe, I also think has a very good role, basically a full mid-time role. Could they chuck him back in the forward line later on the season? Maybe, but I think at the current role, I think he's definitely right up there as a very good pick. And then you've got, like, you can throw a blanket over the rest of these guys and pick, basically, I'm saying whoever you like. Like Chad Warner had been absolutely on fire the last few weeks, but we've seen what he can do in the past. He can drop you a 60 or he can drop you a 150. Depends a lot on whether he scores goals as well and his influence on the game. But I think at 480, he's a reasonable pick. Zach Bailey, the same. Reasonable, a pretty good pick. Can get you a 130 or 140, can get you a 60, but pretty good. Murphy Reed doesn't have quite the ceiling as the other guys, but I think he will consistently get you around probably an 80 to 100. And what's he done the last few weeks? So, Hunt, he's gone since round 8, he's got a 75 and a 59, but after that, he's 86, 93, 126, 120, 110, 94. So, again, he can drop you one of those lower scores, but all these forwards can do that. Unless your name is Harry Sheasel, they've all shown that they're capable of dropping these lower scores. But then his ceiling is about a 125, as we can see. So, some of these other guys, like a Bailey or a Warner, might have a higher ceiling. So maybe I would go them just a little bit over Murphy Reed just because they can put up that huge score. Joe Richards, we talked about him a couple of weeks ago. He came out and gave an average score when we talked about him of 79, but now he's back to a 110. So I think he is a very good pick if he keeps his role. Now, we talked about the other guys having full-time midfield roles. Well, he's had a full-time midfield role for the last few weeks. and he's doing very well in it, well at it. But if the magnets were thrown around there at Port, things could change. But I think at his current role at 447, he is still a very good pick. Max Hall, I think, is a reasonable pick at the price as a nice pod. Again, also Joe Richards is a great pod at 1.2%, and Chad Warner's not a bad pod at 6.9%. Bailey Williams, we've shown he's inconsistent. I tried to tell you guys as an Eagles supporter that this was going to be the case. If you needed some coverage in the ruck, I can understand going there, but he's just going to get you these 67s and 70s some weeks, and some weeks he'll get you 100, 110. So, and I think his ceiling, I think he'll hit his ceiling less than some of these other guys. Josh Tracy, again, key forward. A lot of people jumped on him at 500, 510K. He's a key forward. He's going to get you 60 some weeks. He's going to get you hundreds for the rest. Freo going to be very good for the rest of the season. I think it's a reasonable pick. Darcy Byrne-Jones, I think I'd stay away from him, even though I've got him in some draft teams. You know, Chris Petrarca's way down here. Riley Sanders, did Liberatore coming back into the team affect him a little bit? Well, he did get a lower score that week. He's got a massive break even, so maybe you could wait on him for a week. Yeah, delivering. He had that nice run of hundreds, and then the last 3 weeks he's gone 99, 57, 63. So if you're still keen on Riley Sanders, I would be waiting a week or two or a couple of weeks. And Isaac Rankin came out and dropped to 38. He's got a break even of 154. So if you're keen on him, wait a couple of weeks. You might get rank for less than 400K. Now that could be a real bargain. So keep an eye on the roll, keep an eye on the price, and maybe snap him up. Now, Sam Durham, I really like him. I got him in my team. He's repaid me from day one of getting him in. He has a full-time, like we talked about the role, he has a full-time midfield role at Essendon. Will the magnets been thrown around? I hope not. He looks very good in there. He looks pretty much like their best midfielder. So, you know, I'm thinking that he holds his position, and at that position, you know, he's gone out and scored us. So since I've got him in the last three, well, I got him in after the 127. So last 3 weeks, 127, 90, and 128. So in that role, he is absolutely killing it. And I think at 420, he is probably almost one of the best bargains this week. And he's still only owned by 11.8%. So, you know, if I had a choice of getting on someone at that cheaper option, I think he would be there, and I almost guarantee if he holds his role, he'll be in the top 6 forwards at the end of the season. Like I said, it's a lot about role, and at the moment, the people I could see with the full-time midfield roles are obviously Sheasel, Degoe, Sheasel, Degoe, the man we just talked about as Durham, Jason Horne-Francis, and also maybe even Joe Richards. Now, if their role changes, that's fine. But at the moment, they've got those roles, which to me makes them the most consistent and the best scoring forwards. So I think I just answered the question, who would I want on my forward line? Well, I want Sheasel, I want Horne-Francis, I want Degoe, I want Durham. And then the last, I want Pickett. And then that last position, I mean, I'm a big fan of Zach Bailey, actually. So I probably have Zach Bailey in my team, especially, or, you know, you could go Warner. One of these, they play for very good teams. They're going to win a lot of games. So they're going to have the opportunity to get big scores. Anyway, that's who I think about the trades. If you've got a question about someone you think I missed, maybe it's a rookie or maybe it's someone else that you're targeting, let me know in the comments and I will let you know what I think. Don't forget, we'll go more into detail during the live video on Thursday. They're a great time. Like, these videos are good for your trades and captains, but we really can do a deep dive on any player we like during that live video. You can ask me my opinion of a pod maybe, and I think that's where the real crunching of numbers and that gets done. Here I just give my opinion, but there with some of the smartest people out there in the community, we really talk and break down who we think is going to be good players. And, you know, sometimes I'm an Eagles supporter, but maybe you're a Port supporter and you can tell me if you think Joe Richards is going to stay in the midfield, or if you think they're going to try someone else, and things like that. And that's why we're a community, and that's why I love those videos so much. All right, so let's get back to captains and vice captain choices now for you out in the community. Now, for me, I'm going vice captain Dacos into either the Shees or potentially Luke Jackson. Nope, sorry, I can't. So I either vice to, if I'm going, yeah, so into the Sheasel, which is, that's right, yep. Potentially a Zach Butters. And I still potentially thinking about Jackson as a vice captain as well over Dacos, but maybe Dacos isn't in such good form at the moment. Maybe we just go in. But for you guys, let's have a talk about for you guys and girls out there in community. So the first game is Geelong versus Brisbane. So Bailey Smith or Holmes, I mean, I think they're fine options as a vice captain, but Brisbane and Geelong, it's probably going to be a tough game. It might not be a big one-sided game where, one team gets a lot more Supercoach points than the other. So maybe not the best pick. So maybe I would avoid those two guys. Now, Sydney versus Western Bulldogs. I definitely think Isaac Heaney is a go here. I don't think I would risk Grundy if he's up against English. They're both reasonable rucks and they might counter each other a little bit. So, and I think, maybe not the Bont, as who knows if he gets the James Jordan tag. Or, again, Sydney's a very good team. If Sydney were to put a bit of a beating on the Bulldogs, you hope it's going to be a close match. But if Sydney was to do that, maybe that would hold a Bont's score down. Where I think the Isaac Heaney of the world, if he could put a few goals on the board, he's worth a sneaky VC option. The next game, West Coast versus Adelaide. I definitely think Jordan Dawson is worth a sneaky vice captain here. We know that the Eagles midfield is not great, and opposing midfielders usually put up big scores, and this could be a big win for Adelaide. So, when they have big wins, they get a lot of points. So Jordan Dawson could get a huge score this week. Hawthorn and Melbourne, I don't think I'd be picking anyone from this game. Max Gawn maybe could be a sneaky pick, but, Hawthorn are always a tough matchup, and I think it could be a tough game and maybe not too many spike scores on either side. GWS and Freo. I really like Jackson as a pick against the GWS. He could be, could dominate them. I think he's got a reasonable record if we have a look. 143 he got last year against them. And so not too sure if Darcy was in the team then. I still think he is a valid option. Is his score capped by Darcy? Maybe there could be safer options, as we will get on to in a second. The next game, Gold Coast Suns versus Collingwood. I think both Anderson and Dacos are sneaky captains or vice captain picks. Dacos has been on fire. Gold Coast don't really seem to tag very much. So I think Dacos is a very good option here, as I will probably have a go with my team. And then you've got Richmond and Carlton. Normally we like to target the Richmond matchups, but Carlton, they've been awesome. Let's give credit where credit is due. Carlton have been awesome. Do I trust Walsh to put up a big score every week? No. If I had Hewitt, does he have that massive ceiling that he showed last year? He hasn't showed it this year. So I think there are safer options. So I probably won't go anyone from that game. St Kilda versus Essendon. I think Nas is a very good pick here. Nasai, Wanganeen, Malera against Essendon could tear them a new one. So as a captain choice on the Sunday, as a fallback option, I think he is very good. And of course, the two men here that, we always talk about Butters every week. Against North, I think could be a very good option. Even though he only got 94 points earlier on this year, he did get 162 last year. But the man we forget every week, Mr. Harry Sheasel, does someone from Port go with him? He's got the last 3 times playing port, 134, 135, and 119. So every week I kind of don't pick him, and every week he comes out, bangs out one of these scores. So maybe this is the week that I just back in Harry Sheasel and say, Mr. Sheasel, you're the man. You get the captaincy. So that's who I think, crew, will be best for you guys and girls out there in the community. Now, my top options, I've been done very well in the last few weeks in top options, but I think they've been quite obvious. So we're going to try this week and see how we go for the top options for next week. So we can talk about it next week in the review. I can either say yes, I did the right thing, or no, I didn't. So my 2 top vice captain options, I'm going to give Dacos as a vice captain on Saturday, and I'm going to give Luke Jackson a vice captain on Saturday. And my 2 top captain options are Sheasel on Sunday and Nasson on Sunday. So 4 options for your crew. If you got those players, they would be my top picks. Anyway, I hope you liked the video, so don't forget to like the video if you did like the video. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Helps me out a lot. Really appreciate all the support. So hit that sub button now. Doesn't hurt you to do it. Doesn't take more than a few seconds to like or sub, so do those things now. And leave me comments down below. I always get back to all the comments. Would love to know who you're trading in and out, how many trades you've got left, and how much money you've got left too. That's also very interesting. Do you only have 2 trades like me, or do you have a stack of trades and a couple of boosts and looking fine for the rest of the season? So yeah, let me know down there in the chat, and we'll like I said, I always get back to everybody who comments. And yeah, I hope everyone has a awesome week. I will see you on Thursday for the live video, and I'll talk to you again very soon.